Well, normally I hate your dumb ideas that put us in troubling situations, but I'm feeling good about tonight. But question, why did you choose this Airbnb?
Because the review said it had spine-tingling vibes. And I can't resist a good haunted Airbnb.
Oh, damn it, Eloise, I'm looking at the history behind this property, and spine-tingling doesn't mean axe murderer optional. This feels like the kind of place where cell phones die and people disappear.
Chill, Catherine. It's rusted, quaint, serial killer chic.
Oh, dear me, is that blood on the doormat?
No, it says welcome, in cursive, possibly with a chicken.
Okay, no, this place has creep factor 11. We are going to die, and it's going to be a Netflix limited series.
Did you hear that?
Nope, I did not, and I don't want to. We're leaving.
Hold on. We paid for this stay, and I want to find the axe murder ghost for my TikTok.
You're gonna get axed for clout?
Okay, that was definitely not the pipes.
That's not a ghost. Ghosts float, bro. That's Boots.
Are you two lost?
No, sir. Just checking in on your kill count.
Please don't murder us. We're just two elegant and well-to-do ladies on a budget getaway. Take the wine and let us alive.
You two ever hear of Vector Crowley?
Oh my god, yes! Hatchet franchise, based on the Honey Island swamp legend. Wait, are you him? Can I get a selfie?
Why are you encouraging him?
You should have stayed in the city.
Oh, no! Oh, dear. I knew this was gonna happen. I watched Evil Dead, Eloise. I knew trees and cabins never mean good things.
Well, now we're part of horror history. I'm tweeting this if we survive.
Oh, a window. Let's jump.
Such a long way down.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay, we're alive. We escaped the axe guy.
That was kind of awesome, I'd say so myself.
No, it was traumatizing. I'm gonna have nightmares thanks to you.
Well, hey, on the bright side, that does give us the perfect segue for this week's episode.
Oh my god, you're right. This week on Itty Bitty Horrors podcast, we're covering famous axe murders, and now we've lived one.
Ask not what your podcast can do for you. Ask what you can do for your favorite podcast.
I hate you.
Well, Catherine, how did you feel about this episode?
I felt great about it. Eloise, I felt grand about it.
We are definitely on our way to at least win like a People's Choice Award, I'd say, or whatever the podcasting version is of that, right? You don't think?
I think so. I think we are. I mean, these sketches alone, I feel like, are worthy of some kind of award, no?
Yeah, I feel like somebody's going to reach out to us and be like, we like both of you. We like your moxie.
Yeah, your spunk.
Yeah, we're going to offer you a contract for 3 years, pay you each $5,000. I'm like, wait, what? 5,000
for 3 years?
Yes, you have to produce 400 episodes. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. We're keeping our day jobs.
Exactly. Are you at least going to pay for our equipment? Or no.
Our room and board?
Figure it out, is what they tell us.
Well, we'll get there.
One day.
Yes.
Welcome to the Itty Bitty Horror Podcast with Luis and Tim. In this podcast, we discuss everything from horror movies to the scariest tales out there.
No.
With a tiny dash of humor.
Yes, that's
Tim,
true.
Yes. It's June. It's Pride. It's Pride Month. What are you doing to celebrate?
You're right. Well, for one thing, I'm looking up information about axe murders.
Oh. Well, I was legitimately asking you, like, what are you doing for
Oh,
Pride? Not
oh,
with the
okay.
podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm so good at my job that I thought you'd
Yes.
want a nice segue into the topic. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe there'll be some kind of celebration things happening in a city near me, and I'll be able to go to them. I don't know. What are you doing?
Yeah, same thing. I'm getting together with a couple of friends, or several friends, and we're gonna have Pride. We're gonna go to San Francisco and just go get high on poppers and bottom.
Oh no. Oh, well, or yes, whatever is your,
Yeah, whatever it is that we want to do. But
yeah.
we want to both wish you, our listeners, our little itty bitty titties, happy
Yes.
Pride Month.
What did you call our valued listeners?
Our itty bitty titties.
Oh, yes, that's right. I thought we were just calling you all our little itty bitties, but our itty bitty titties, that's could be good. Listeners, write in and tell us what you think of that
Yeah, if
nickname.
you're offended by that, I apologize. Tim came up with the idea, but
Right, yeah. I
yeah,
told him that and slipped him a note. I was like, call them that, please.
I know, I know. Well, before we get to today's episode, I just want to remind our listeners that in case you did listen to the previous episode, Tim was actually here in the Bay Area
I
last week,
was.
and we were like hanging out. We recorded our only episode that was live. How did you
Yes.
enjoy the coming back to the Bay Area, Tim?
I mean, it was so nice. I love the Bay Area weather. I love the weather then when I was there. Although it's so funny because when you visit the Bay Area, you realize that everyone there thinks that it has bad weather because everyone's like, "Oh, it's so cold. It's like 55 degrees." And I was thinking, "Oh, this is nice."
Yeah, no, I love it when it's like really cold, 50, 60-degree weather. But last week we went to Pacifica.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, if you haven't been there, it's about, I want to say, like 10 minutes outside of San Francisco, like a little bit south of that. And Charlie, who actually does our artwork, the good artwork for the
Yes.
podcast, he actually
Yes,
lives in that
yes.
area. But you also got to meet a couple of my friends, like Charlie, who does the artwork for the podcast, and you also got to meet a couple of friends who've recorded some skits in the past. So it was
Hmm.
really fun having you here.
Yeah, it was so fun. I know. And also, by the way, I love Pacifica and I'd never heard about it and I lived in the Bay Area. So that's kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, like, why did I not?
I know, right? It's funny because we were talking about this in the hitchhiking episode of like the scenario would be that's where I would dump you off
What?
and have you hitchhike back to my apartment in the little scenario that I gave you for hitchhiking. If you
Well,
remembered and paid attention.
I always pay attention. But I was going to tell you, if you drop me off there, I think I would just stay there because it's so nice. And by the way, it's like so not crowded as well. Like I saw no one there.
We also went on a Thursday or so. So
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
it
true.
was like in the middle of a work day. I called out sick, cough, cough. Just kidding,
Yes,
work in case
yes.
you're listening to my podcast.
Oh,
Anyway, Tim, what are we talking about today?
well, today we're going to continue to discuss axe murders and
Ooh.
famous ones. And it's pretty creepy, listeners. I'm not
Mhm.
going to lie to you. This might be our creepiest one yet.
Yeah, exactly. Since this is based on real stories, it's not really anything paranormal. I think that makes it even creepier. Tim, can
Yeah.
you name any famous axe murders like off the top of your head?
Lizzie Borden.
Okay. Well, we're talking about her today, so what a way to ruin it.
Sorry, when
Tell
you
me
asked
more,
me.
Tim. Tell our listeners more about Lizzie
Oh,
Borden.
well, okay, listeners, you'll be disappointed to know that all I know is her name.
Oh, do you know the little jingle associated with her name?
No, but wait, is Lizzie Borden, does she have anything to do with the movie Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, the Betty Davis movie?
It's kind of similar in the sense that, with Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, they have a little jingle or little nursery rhyme.
Yes.
They have
Yeah,
the
there was a
same
little
thing.
jingle that all the
Mhm.
kids would sing about Charlotte because everyone believed that she had chopped her lover's head off with an axe.
Yes, listeners, we did discuss this when the very first episode that Tim was on. I don't remember. I think it was episode 8. I could be wrong, on hagsploitation, and we talked about two films specifically. We talked about Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and Hush
Uh-huh.
Hush Sweet Charlotte. And if you want to listen a little bit more about that episode and how it falls into the category of hagsploitation, then feel free to check that episode out.
It's a good one, listeners. And I
Yeah.
think it is one of our most listened to episodes. So that should give you a little jolt.
Oh yeah, for sure. At the end of 2024, when Spotify does they give you like stats based on your whatever and on what you listen to.
Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, but on the other side of it, like for the podcast, they give you like, oh, which is your most downloaded episode, blah blah blah, and that was #1 episode exploitation, which I'm very proud of because I think we both were really just one
We
of the few
nailed
times
it.
that we were both well informed on the topic. Just
That
kidding.
is true. No, always well informed, but it was
Yeah.
also my first episode, dare I say.
Yeah, it was your first episode, so you were the one who brought me the
So,
luck and the
yes.
ratings.
Yes, I brought the ratings, listeners, and I continue to do that. So just stay tuned because there's more of me to come.
Yes, more Timmy. Well, for today's episode, we're going to be discussing a little bit of some history, not the history, but some history on why axes have been used in famous murders. And we're going
Yes.
to talk about 3 real life axe murders, Tim.
Yes, we're going to first talk about the bio of axes. How did axes first get built?
Who
What is an
invented
axe?
axes? Exactly. Back in the 1600s when, anyway.
Not really, not really.
No. Axe murderers have been a disturbing part of the... Just kidding. Axe murders have been a disturbing part of criminal history for centuries, often marked by their brutal and intimate nature. The weapon itself, the axe, carries a certain primal violence that's hard to ignore, making these crimes particularly chilling. The public's fascination with axe murders began to grow during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, spurred by several high-profile cases that have captured the imagination of the masses. These murders were seen as both horrific and mysterious, with the axe becoming a symbol of unrestrained rage and personal vendetta. In these infamous cases, the crime scenes were often described as chaotic and gruesome, the victims left in ways that made it clear the attack was not just a random act of violence, but one that involved an intimate knowledge of the victim or the situation. The killers were often portrayed as methodical, if not cold-blooded, with no regard for the brutality of their actions. As the media began to sensationalize these crimes, axe murders quickly found their way into popular culture. Pulp novels, slasher films, and sensationalist news reported turning the axe into a symbol of terror. The imagery of a person wielding such a weapon in a frenzied, violent attack became a hallmark of horror stories, with fictionalized versions of these events drawing inspiration from the real-life brutality of axe murders. The graphic and personal nature of these crimes, when depicted in media, made them all the more unsettling. This connection between real-life axe murders and their fictional counterparts helped fuel the cultural fascination with the dark, often twisted motivations behind these crimes. Whether the killer was driven by revenge, madness, or some deeper psychological fracture, the act of using an axe was both brutal and symbolic. It became a reflection of the violence and the chaos within the human psyche.
Well, maybe they were just simple hallucinations.
Yes, of the person getting the axe to the head, maybe. That's why they're hallucinating, because they have a fucking 3-inch piece of metal lodged in their forehead.
Yeah, exactly. That would make me hallucinate. And listeners, for reference, I am referring to a previous episode where we talked about how a doctor thought that someone who had done a kind of a time warp into a different dimension, how they had been told that they were just having simple hallucinations, which is a funny thing for a doctor to say, just simple hallucination. Like
That was a
go
normal
away.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take a couple of Tylenol, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
As these murders became more ingrained in media and folklore, they also influenced subsequent generations of criminals. The violence and mystery surrounding axe murders gave them a certain mythic quality, making them even more potent in the public's mind. It was not just about the crime itself, but the lingering sense of fear and confusion it left in its wake, Tim.
Oh, I see.
These crimes were often unsolved, which only added to their mystique, creating a legacy of horror that continues to captivate audiences today. In short, axe murders have left a lasting impression, not just as brutal acts of violence, but as a chilling part of our cultural history, influencing both the real world and the fictional horror genre. The axe, as a weapon, continues to be a symbol of personal violence, unspeakable horror, and a sharp reminder of humanity's darker side.
And I hate to interrupt you, but it is a stark reminder, not a shark reminder.
How about you eat my shark?
What? What are you saying? What are you asking me?
No. Okay, so Tim,
Yes.
now that you have a little bit more context as to how the axe has been used as a way to, not just kill somebody, but kill them in a way that's very, obviously very violent, but almost like it's kind of like, what I'm thinking is like when somebody grabs a knife and just stabs you in the face. It's just like very, very like intense. It's not like, oh, I got hit by a car. I guess I'm dying today, or an accident, or somebody, gives you arsenic tea or something. This is like
Oh,
an intentional way of killing you in a very violent way.
you're right. It's very emotional. To
Hmm.
me, an axe has a vibe of someone who's just had it up to here with my bullshit kind of thing, you know?
Well, believe you me, I know that feeling.
What,
I had an
huh?
axe
What?
ready under my bed
Oh,
after I was giving
no.
birth.
Oh, what? What? Oh, wait. Oh, another reference.
That's a reference to the Appalachian Mountains episode. Appalachia. Anyway, as I was, reading this, I also remembered a couple of other stories of infamous axe murders. Have
Really?
you heard of the Axe Man in New Orleans? New Orleans.
The Axeman in New Orleans. That must be where Eloise is from.
Yes. Well, the Axeman, and sorry to our listeners if I'm getting this incorrectly. I'm going off pop culture, but maybe we should cover
Yes.
this person in one episode, but he's not included in today's episode. But there's a story of a man who would, kill a bunch of people in New Orleans. He would just like walk down the streets and just randomly kill. So he decided
Hmm.
to, I guess back in the 1800s or whatever, he wrote a letter to like the local newspaper, had it published there, saying like, as you know, I am the infamous Axeman or whatever. And if you want to be safe tonight, you have to play jazz. And the thing is, like, these people were so scared. So at night, they would play a bunch of jazz music. And
Oh,
then he would,
okay.
like, that was one way of avoiding being targeted by the Axeman.
Wait, is
Um,
that why New Orleans is so big on jazz? Is
I
that
don't
like
know. No, I
the
think they're
reason?
no, they already are. It was already a
Oh,
jazz,
okay.
a little jazz city, but since he really liked jazz,
Oh,
again,
I see.
I'm going over very basic facts, but it is also covered on season 3 of American Horror Story for the occult.
Oh.
But I know that's a real story as well because I've seen several documentaries on this.
Well,
But
it's
in
funny that the guy
Mhm.
wasn't deterred from some other music because it's very convenient that he would hate jazz, and New Orleans is famous for jazz. I mean, imagine if he was like, I'm only deterred by hardcore heavy metal. You know, New Orleans would have to change its whole vibe.
the whole image, right? But
Yeah.
in this episode of American Horror Story, a coven of witches decided, like, you know what, we're gonna entice the Axeman to come here and let's see if he'll fuck with us. So they
Oh,
decided to play a bunch of like operatic music,
hmm.
So the
Yeah.
Axeman decided, it's like, oh yeah, that's the house I'm gonna target because I told you only play jazz. And
Uh-huh.
then he goes into the middle of the room and a woman is like playing tarot cards or whatever, and he goes, "I did warn you," or whatever, and she pulls a card of death. And he's like, "You only have yourself to blame." And she goes, "No, this card is actually for you." And then she disappears, and they all
Oh.
start stabbing him because they're all witches. Um,
Oh, I like
y-
that ending. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's a really fun episode. But we're not, unfortunately, not discussing this today.
Oh,
We're gonna be discussing 3 real life stories, Tim. Not that that wasn't a real one, of famous axe murders, starting with Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden. Fall River, Massachusetts, a town like any other, until one summer morning in 1892 when the walls of 92 Second Street soaked up a horror that would stain its memory forever. It was just after 11 a.m., August 4th, when the Borden home, quiet, respectable, suddenly became a crime scene. Inside, 2 bodies. One sprawled across the sitting room sofa, the other upstairs, cold on the floor of a guest bedroom. The first was Andrew Borden, husband, father, struck down by a bludgeoning force so brutal it disfigured his face almost beyond recognition. The second, Abby Borden, his wife, murdered just steps away from a freshly made bed, her skull shattered, as if someone was trying to erase her entirely. The person who claimed to have found them? Their 32-year-old daughter, Lizzie. But was she a witness to the aftermath, or the architect of it? Andrew was last seen alive by Lizzie herself. She told police she'd chatted with him briefly before heading up to the barn. Minutes later, she was yelling for the maid, asking for help, asking for someone to come, quick. When the neighbors and Dr. Bowen arrived, it was too late. Andrew's skull had been hacked open, his blood painting the sitting room walls, his body oddly at peace, as if death had surprised him mid-nap. Upstairs, the second horror. Abby's body face down in a quiet corner, a halo of blood spreading beneath her head. According to the physician, her death came before Andrew's by nearly 2 hours.
Damn, what was she doing in the in the meantime? Like she killed Abby,
I
and
know, and then she
then
just played tiddlywinks, I guess. I don't know.
she was probably like, after she killed Abby, she was like, "Did I do the right thing, God?
God, answer me this. Was this right?
Riddle me this, God." I know I'd already killed Abby or her mom or whatever. Should I rethink my life?
Yeah. Am I doing the right thing?
After 2 hours, she went up. So I was like, ah, fuck this. And you're like, quack.
Oh,
I don't
God.
know why it sounds like a duck quacking, but
Yeah, it wasn't quack, I don't think is the noise. Have you ever even used an axe?
quack,
Actually,
quack,
come to think of it, have
quack.
I ever come to think of it, have I ever used an axe? I don't know. Actually,
I've never held an axe,
me neither.
but I was a murderer in my past life.
Oh, really? Which
Mhm.
were you Jack the Ripper?
No. I was an Ula, and
An Ula.
A little Hungarian town. My name was Ula, or that was my job. I still don't know what it was, but anyway,
You only have a vague recollection of this
right,
previous
yeah.
life.
And I used to put like little arsenic in the tea and feed it to men to,
Who cheated on their wives.
yeah. So that was my previous job title. So I have experience with like, you know, taking people's lives away in a previous life, not this life.
Right.
But I've never held an axe.
Okay. Well, probably just as well, because your previous lives sound pretty scary. So I feel like let's keep you away from all axes. 2 murders, hours apart, and yet no signs of forced entry, no screams, no escape scene, which begged the question, was the killer already inside the house the entire time? Investigators began to look at Lizzie. Her story shifted. Her reactions cold, too cold, and there were strange behaviors. A dress burned in the kitchen fireplace, a visit to the druggist asking for poison, and in the basement, a hatchet with a broken handle. The evidence was circumstantial, but the suspicion? It was suffocating. And so Lizzie Borden was arrested, charged with the savage murder of her father and stepmother. The trial captivated the country. The press couldn't get enough, printing headlines that read like Gothic fiction. But inside the courtroom, things were murky. Testimony came and went. A maid who heard laughter upstairs when Abby's body may have already been lying in a pool of blood. A friend who saw no blood on Lizzie's hands, dress, or shoes. And a medical examiner who found no poison in either victim's stomach, despite the rumors. Wait, timeout. Was there poison? I don't remember that.
No, there wasn't poison. But I think they were accused, or maybe thinking that Lizzie Borden could have been the killer, because earlier you mentioned, if you listen to what you were reading, where
a little bit.
Yeah, where she had gone to a druggist or a pharmacist asking for poison. So maybe they had already suspected, like, oh, maybe she did this. Or maybe they thought that she poisoned them so that way they would die and then kill them with the axe so they didn't actually feel the pain of the axe.
Oh,
or so they thought, you know what I mean?
Kind of, I mean, weirdly caring. I mean, it's like she wanted to axe them, but she didn't want them to feel it.
That makes zero sense, right?
Yeah.
Then why kill them with the axe? If you just want to kill them, why not just poison them?
She just really likes gross things, but she doesn't like people to be in pain. I don't know.
She's like, I really hate both of you, and I really want both of you to die.
Right.
And I want to kill you in a very violent way, but I don't want you to feel the pain. So I'm just going to sleep some, your herbal tea, just have you go peacefully to sleep. And then I'm going to cut your head off and spread out your organs or whatever.
Ugh, I know. And listeners, by the way, we apologize in advance. This episode is going to have a lot of gallows humor in it because, it's about axe murders, as you might have guessed.
Yes. I mean, were you expecting some story about little kitty cats just roaming around?
Roaming in a field, in a little daisy patch? No.
Yeah, no. We're going to be talking about something very gruesome and violent.
Yes.
So if it's too much for you,
buckle up.
Yeah, buckle your shoes. If it's too much, make sure your kids have like little earplugs,
right?
Put in their ears, obviously, and
what, like not in their nose?
Not in their nose, yeah. And make sure that you turn up the volume and listen to the really disgusting. Crank it up, baby. Our little itty bitty titties.
People are just tuning out one by one as we
They're
say
like dropping
this.
like flies. Well, I think it's time I unsubscribe to this shit.
They're like, we don't need another moment of they're telling us to crank it up, baby.
Not only that, but like, you were telling me what to do with my children. I'm in America or maybe Greece. I'll do what I want.
Canada, perhaps.
Perhaps someone in the UK.
Anyway, getting back to the story.
Yes, please.
After just over an hour of deliberation, the jury returned, not guilty. And with that, Lizzie Borden walked free. But justice? That's another story. To this day, no one else was ever charged with the murders. No new evidence has surfaced, only questions, whispers, and a rhyme etched into the American imagination.
Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whack. When she saw what she had done, gave her father 41.
There's no proof she ever held the axe, but maybe, just maybe, some ghosts don't need evidence to haunt a house. Just enough blood and the silence that follows.
Tim,
Yes.
should we go to the famous or infamous Lizzie Borden house and try to investigate this ourselves?
No, because you know what? A gruesome murder in a house to me is just too scary and gross, and I feel like, I don't know. I don't think I can. Have you been to a house where something bad happened like that?
No, I
Okay.
haven't, but
Well, see, you just don't know, but I'm telling you, it's a creepy thing.
not that I
Although,
know
come to
of.
think of it, I don't think I have either. So, but I just feel like it would be.
Yeah, I don't think I have because I've been to several like ghost tours. Yeah, actually, no. I mean, ghost tours count, right? Because I've been to several places where famous incidents or famous things have like infamous things have happened.
Oh yeah, that counts, I would say.
Yeah, but the Lizzie Borden house, I think it's still an actual like a touristy thing.
Oh, okay.
So there's tours to the historic. You can book a room there actually.
Yes, okay.
Would you stay there?
No.
Why not? Do you think you're gonna get 40 whacks from a ghost?
Yeah, I don't want 40 wax.
What if the ghost? Okay, Tim,
Yes.
what would you do?
There's only me here.
Let's just say
Mm-hmm.
you and I both decide to book a little tour to the Lizzie Borden house, and we arrive there. And then, as we're about to do the tour guide says, like, "Hey, you two, we actually have 2 rooms available, and we're trying to fill it up for Halloween, and we're gonna give you a really special discount. Like, you only pay $10 to stay here for the night.
Oh.
Separate rooms, everything's taken care of. We provide breakfast, blah blah." And then we're both said like, "Oh, Tim, do you want to do this?" And you're like,
Yeah,
"Sure,
yeah, why not?
why not?" And then we stay there. We do the tour. They tell us the whole history of the little nursery rhyme, whatever. And then it's like, "Okay, Tim, good night." And then I go to my room, and then
You put on your little pointy cap and your nightgown, probably.
yeah. And I'm in my room, and then you are about to go to bed, and then you just hear Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks.
I'd be like, oh no.
When she saw she had, oh wait, when she saw what she had done,
No.
she gave Tim Smith 41. And then you're like, what? That's my name.
It's my name. No.
And then suddenly you feel like you're laying in bed, and you just like, wait, who was that? What the hell?
What was that? What?
And you just feel a sharp pain go right through your balls, and it's like Lizzie Borden with like a knife, and she's like, "I'm cutting these balls off and taking them to
No.
Pride."
Why would you do that, Lizzie?
She's like, "I want to put them on my chin."
What the hell? Lizzie's a perv.
So what would you do?
I would be like, I would probably be screaming and crying and wailing,
Yeah.
pounding the ground. Isn't that funny?
It is.
Yeah.
This episode of Itty Bitty Horror is sponsored by Polly's Axe Emporium. Because when you need to get rid of an annoying bitch, we got you covered.
Are you tired of dull blades that just won't cut it? Come on down to Polly's Axe Emporium, the only place where sharpness is deadly serious. Whether you're chopping wood or, something else, Polly's has the edge you need. From double-sided Viking cleavers to discreet, travel-sized hatchets, we've got everything a lumberjack, horror villain, or vengeful spirit could ask for. Need to make a statement at the family reunion? Planning a bloody good camping trip? Just say the word and we'll hook you up with our buy one, bury one free special. Polly's Axe Emporium is not responsible for any ghost hauntings, spectral revenge, or legal consequences resulting from misuse. Axes are sharp, don't be stupid. Polly's Axe Emporium when it's time to cut ties permanently.
For the next story, we're going to hop on a train and head down to my hometown of Laredo, Texas.
Oh, I love it taking a train to Laredo.
Yeah, it's for the Smiley Axe murders. It's a story of heartbreak, drugs, and maybe even some sympathy. But for whom?
Sympathy?
For the devil.
Oh, Rolling Stones.
Yeah, okay, so for our listeners, we will be posting the links for, the sources, but there is also an episode on Netflix. I don't remember what it's called, so it doesn't really help.
What a great comment.
Yeah, exactly. But there is an episode on Netflix, or a series called I Am a Killer. Right? Sympathy for the Devil. That's the name of this specific episode. And it covers this specific case. So if you want to see it it's a very 45-ish minutes, but they do interview the actual killers of this, what do you call it?
Oh, yikes.
Incident. And you kind of do actually feel sympathy for a specific person, but we'll cover it right now. Laredo, Texas. A border town wrapped in dust and heat, where life hums quietly along the Rio Grande. It's the kind of place where everybody knows your name and your secrets. James Smiley was one of the good ones. 33 years old, a fast food manager by day, a Baptist youth leader by night. He crossed into Mexico to volunteer at an orphanage, the kind of man who gave more than he had, always offering a couch, a ride, a helping hand. People trusted him. Maybe they shouldn't have. One of those peoples was Miguel Martinez, 17, a troubled teen working under Smiley at the local Arby's. On the surface, James was his mentor, maybe even a stand-in father figure, Tim. But Miguel and his...
Wait, hold on. Why did you say Tim?
Because you are Smiley!
No, I'm not. I've never worked at Arby's. I've never done any of this.
That's not what I heard. But
what?
Miguel...
What are you...
But Miguel and his friend... Yes, Tim, do you have something to add?
No, just continue.
But Miguel and his friend, Milo Flores, had been helping themselves to James' generosity in a more literal way. They were robbing him. Are you laughing at somebody's demise before I even get to it?
I was just laughing at James. Was he meant?
Not just once. They had a key James had given them. They weren't stealing them. They were stealing from him regularly. Trinkets, electronics, anything they could turn into cash, booze, or drugs. And then there was a third one, Miguel Venegas, just 16, unpredictable, twitchy, the kind of kid who didn't just talk crazy, he believed it. And he had a thing for the occult. Said he had a connection to Satan himself. His friends didn't take him seriously. Not at first.
If I had a friend who remotely suggested that or even implied that, I would be like, okay, we're not friends. Thank you, though. Bye.
Well, you are hosting a podcast with an occult member, so how about that?
Is it you?
No, it's your other podcast, the one you do about bottoming for pride. That with your co-host.
Listeners, I am not involved in any other podcasts.
Not that we know of. Maybe in a different, anyway. January 17th, 1991, the three boys were hanging out in a back apartment behind Milo's house, a little crash pad where weed and bad decisions flowed freely. That night, they ran out of drugs. Milo complained about footing the bill for everyone's high. Venegas, high on the glue and full of twisted ideas, made a suggestion. Let's rob James Smiley.
Wow, he was high on the glue.
Yeah, he was.
I like he said he was high on the glue.
Yeah, just for those of you who know, the glue is a reference to Elmer's glue. Just kidding.
It's such a distinctive type of glue that people in the know just call it the glue.
It wasn't a new idea. They'd done it before, but this time it came with a new twist, Tim.
They robbed James Smiley before?
Yeah, well, if you listen to what I'm saying, they would steal little trinkets and electronics, okay? But this time, it came with a twist.
Okay, sorry.
You know what the twist was, Tim?
Tell me.
Well, let me continue. What if he was home? Venegas grinned. Then we kill him. The other two laughed nervously. They didn't think he meant it. Oh, baby, but he did.
Who is the narrator here who's chuckling and saying, oh, but he did mean it?
They armed themselves, axes, knives, not just to scare, not just in case. Something was shifting, something was wrong. Milo drove them to James' house, but at the last minute he bailed, said he'd wait down the street. He didn't. He left. Maybe he knew what was coming. Maybe he didn't want blood in his hands, but he already put the wheels in motion. Miguel and Venegas crept towards the house, the key still fitting like it always had, but this time James wasn't alone. Inside were two others, young men from across the border. Ruben Martinez, 20. Daniel Dennis, 14, both asleep. Miguel hesitated. He wanted to turn back, but Venegas didn't. His eyes were locked in, like he was on a mission, like he wanted blood. Venegas moved first. He lifted the axe and brought it down on Ruben's skull. Then stabbed him, again and again. Miguel watched in horror. Then he was told to stab the body too, a sick ritual of shared guilt. He obeyed. He ran outside and vomited, but Venegas wasn't finished. He slipped down the hallway, found Daniel asleep in the guest room. The boy didn't stand a chance. Venegas stabbed him as he slept. When Daniel woke screaming, it only fueled the frenzy. He didn't stop until the child was silent. Then came the final act. James Smiley, the man who fed them, housed them, trusted them. Venegas struck him down with the same axe. And when it was done, he turned the crucifix on the nightstand upside down. A message, maybe, or the cursed him. They stole what they could, a TV, the car, and disappeared into the night, leaving behind a massacre. The police were left with a scene of absolute horror and no suspects. But Milo's conscience cracked. Pressured by his father, a local judge, he confessed everything, said he didn't think they would go through with it, said he didn't know they'd actually kill anyone. The courts believed him, and he walked free. Miguel Martinez wasn't so lucky. Though he hadn't struck the fatal blows, he was charged with capital murder. At 17, he landed on death row, the youngest at that time in Texas. Years later, his sentence was reduced to life in prison when he agreed to testify against Venegas, but Venegas had vanished. He'd escaped from juvenile detention and fled to Mexico. He was on the run for 2 years before finally being caught in Monterrey. In 2004, after years of legal back and forth, he finally stood trial. He pled guilty. 3 murders, 41 years. Just 41 years for 3 lives. In Netflix's I Am a Killer, both Miguel and Venegas appear, each offering their version of the truth. Miguel's stories tinged with bitterness, disbelief at his fate, and a barely whispered hint that maybe James wasn't just a good man, that maybe he had secrets, that maybe this wasn't a random act of violence, but something twisted born of betrayal. Venegas, though, he doesn't make excuses. He owns what he did, proudly. That's the part that chills you. Because sometimes evil doesn't hide, Tim, it smiles at you. And sometimes the devil doesn't need horns, just a key, a plan, and an open door. So, it's not listed here. I didn't have a chance to add this, so I'm just going to give you some context. Apparently, there's implied pedophilia from the minister James. The Smiley, James Smiley. And there's like an implication that apparently, and I think the other Miguel, the one who was like the occult person who turned the cross upside down, is saying that the other Miguel, the one who was like puking because he was not really into the idea of killing people, obviously. I guess he implied that James had sexually assaulted him, had essayed him. God. And this was like maybe buried in the back of his head, and like subconsciously this is why he wanted to seek revenge, and like he was always stealing from him.
I see.
And it's weird because there's no evidence of this, so obviously it's just a rumor, and
it's speculation.
And we can't really put too much on James Smiley because again, at the end of the day, he's not here to defend himself, he's dead. But I will say that, I don't know, maybe just because we're in today's society, like a grown man taking in a 14-year-old kid and another kid to stay with him, it's the suspicions grow there, right?
Yeah, it seems a little weird either way, but but
it doesn't prove anything. Allegedly, again, we're not saying that he was that, but these are like the actual rumors and stories of why he did this. So we're not just making this up like right here.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think, Tim, of this little story of for my hometown of the Smiley axe murders.
I wish your hometown had some nice, fun stories from it.
Well, did I tell you about the time that, I went to church and I prayed and I felt really good? How about that?
Oh, yeah, you did. That was a good story.
But this specific story, Tim, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously this is a little bit more complicated than the Lizzie Borden story because it feels like, there may have been motivations right against James that may have been warranted. Of course, we don't know for sure, so maybe there weren't motivations. Maybe that's an excuse.
So
maybe it was correct.
Are you calling James Smiley a pervert?
No, I'm
going
not
to
calling
sue you
him
on behalf of his family.
No,
allegedly.
I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying who knows. But yeah, I mean, it's sad, and the whole turning the cross upside down is weirdly creepy. I mean,
yeah,
that's
no, totally
uniquely like gross and scary. Like, why?
He's also cute, this killer.
Oh my gosh, don't say that.
No, but he's the one who's like, okay, so he was 17 and he was sentenced to death. And after the sympathy for the devil thing came out, I think a lot of people were petitioning saying like, look, yes, he did kill some of these people, but he only did it because of pressure or whatever, but he didn't actually initiate the killings.
Yeah.
And he basically implies that this is not necessarily his what he would have done. And these are like, do you see the picture right here?
Yeah.
This kid right here is the son of the judge. So of course he got away. We never heard from him again.
Right.
And then this is like the kid who's like quote unquote innocent in the sense that he got sent to death prison. Sorry to our listeners, I'm showing Tim like the pictures of the killers, and then this is the occultist guy right here.
I see.
That's wild. And these are actual stills from this. By the way, I'm gonna post the link right here for IMDb's for this specific episode. So if y'all want to read a little bit more about this, feel free to do that. But also, if you have Netflix, make sure to check out I think it's season 2 episode. It isn't listed here, so figure it out.
Figure it out, listeners. Okay, just do it on your own.
Yeah, no, I'll post a link to the actual Netflix thing in the show notes if you want to actually watch this episode. It's a very interesting episode. It's one of the few interesting things about my hometown. Just kidding, Laredo. Love you.
Not true. Laredo's very interesting.
Yes. For this last story, we'll travel to the town of Villisca, Iowa, Tim, where in 1912 a series of murders took place.
Oh.
Do you think Katharine Hepburn wants to read this, or do you think Tim wants to read this?
I don't know if Katharine Hepburn wants to read it. I think I'll just read it.
Fine.
On the night of June 9th, 1912, the town of Villisca, Iowa, was about to become the site of one of the most chilling and unsolved murders in American history. What began as a peaceful evening would soon turn into a nightmare that would haunt the town for generations. The Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, along with 2 guests, Ina Mae Stillinger and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, had just returned from a local church service. The Children's Day program had ended, and they walked home together, chatting and laughing as they made their way back to the Moore house, a modest, welcoming home on the outskirts of town. Between 9:45 and 10 p.m., the family arrived at the house, unaware that the horror awaiting them in the dark night would leave their small town in shock and disbelief. By the next morning, the house was eerily quiet. The Moores had not come out to tend to their chores, and their neighbor, Mary Peckham, grew concerned. When no one answered their knocks, she tried the door. It was locked. As the heavy silence weighed on her, she unlocked the door with a spare key and stepped inside. The bodies of 8 victims were scattered throughout the house: Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, and the 2 Stillinger girls. They had all been bludgeoned to death in a brutal, savage manner with an axe that belonged to Josiah Moore himself. The scene was beyond comprehension. The murderer, or murderers, had crept through the house, methodically killing the family where they slept. Josiah Moore had been struck the most, his face so battered that his eyes were destroyed beyond recognition. The ceiling above his head showed gouge marks, evidence of the brutal blows from the axe. The killer had used the axe's blade on Sarah Moore while the blunt end was used on the rest of the victims. Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, all young children asleep in their beds when they were murdered. The Stillinger sisters, who had spent the night as guests, were found in the guest room, their bodies cruelly disposed of as well.
That's an awful way to, like, with the sharp part of the axe, you killed Sarah Moore, right?
I know.
But
then the dull part.
Exactly, the dull part. Like, would that hurt more, though? Or
yeah.
I wouldn't know, actually.
Oh,
how
yes.
would I?
I mean, I'm sure that would hurt more. The dull part of anything killing you is like that. Oh, that's so gross. Yeah.
And that's what they used to kill the 4 children. Maybe they felt bad. I mean, I'm not making jokes about this, obviously, but maybe they felt bad about the fact. It's like, you know what? I'm going to kill them anyway. But I don't want them to feel the pain of the of the sharpness.
No, I think that would be worse, honestly. I think they gave zero,
They had no empathy or anything for the kid. So they just decided to use the dull part. But that would hurt more.
It would. That's what I'm saying. I think they were like fine with it. They were just like, well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. They had it coming. Is what the killer said in their mind, not what we're saying.
But there was more. The killer had covered the mirrors in the house with blankets, curtains, and clothing, each reflective surface carefully obscured, leaving a disturbing sense of purpose in the actions. Strange, unsettling items were also found. A 4-pound slab of bacon, taken from the icebox and placed next to the axe. Untouched food sat on the kitchen table, blood staining the scene.
Because I do know that you're supposed to cover mirrors when somebody dies. I know that part.
Oh, from what? Is that folklore?
Because, yeah, it's like a little, superstitious type of thing where it's like when somebody dies, like your family or whatever, you usually cover mirrors so that way they don't get stuck on the other side of the mirror or whatever. So
I didn't know that. Oh, that's so creepy.
No, of course, but that's why it makes this even more interesting because the killer covered the mirrors in the house with blankets and curtains, etc. Because maybe he's like, I don't want you all to get stuck. I know I killed you all, but I also don't want you to get stuck in the other world. Come on, just go to hell.
Yeah, what are their weird? What are these weird ass motivations? Like,
yeah, they're like using the dull part of the axe. They're doing like their superstitious things like, oh no, let me put this here. Also, let me put
cover of the mirrors.
Yeah, let me put a 4-pound slab of bacon next to them because it represents my offering to the axe gods.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what are you doing? The axe god is me. Go to the Emporium. Just listen to the ad. That's where the axe gods live.
Oh, I see. An investigation followed, but answers remained elusive. The killer had left no fingerprints, no clear evidence to follow. Theories swirled, suspects came and went, but the killer's identity was never discovered. A traveling preacher, Reverend George Kelly, was tried twice. Both trials ended in either a hung jury or acquittal. Others, like the disgruntled businessman Frank Jones, were also suspected, but nothing was conclusive. As the days turned into weeks, the crime scene became a spectacle. The townspeople, driven by morbid curiosity, flooded the house. Some even stole pieces of Josiah Moore's skull as keepsakes.
What?
Contamination. Yeah, I know, that's so gross, isn't it?
I mean, yes, I understand the whole morbid curiosity. People just want to go, oh, what happened? Like, oh,
right.
Our neighbor got killed. Like, oh, shit. Like, if that,
yeah, I know. People would be curious.
Neighbors, I don't want that. Like, curiosity, no. I get that. But stealing a part of the skull.
I know, that's
as
so
a little
gross.
Souvenir.
That's so gross. What if you found that my skull had been shattered in something and then you came? Would you keep a piece?
I would, because that's a way for me to keep my friend.
Oh, that's kind of sweet. But I mean, also very weird of you.
Very weird, but maybe that's why they were doing it. It was like, oh, we want to honor the family and want to keep a part of their skull. So maybe I get it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess in that light, in that odd, but kind of maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt, these odd little townspeople.
Sure.
The contamination of the scene only further muddied the investigation, and despite the intense scrutiny, the murder was left unsolved. Wait, so their stealing of the pieces was not even sanctioned by the police or anything? They just went under the tape and were like, quick, get it.
Get a skull.
That's so gross.
Luis, what are you doing? Because,
you're talking about, Luis, what are you doing?
No, yeah, exactly. Luis, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to take a bone. It's like, that's not the bone, that's his dick.
Oh, gross.
I need it.
I need it for my wall.
And he just submitted as an offering to my gay alien living in my closet.
So this is disgusting. Disgusting episode.
Give me a penis, please.
Quit talking on that broadcast.
really turning me off. Listeners are like, can you stop it with that gay alien? Well, guess what, listeners? It's Pride.
Yeah,
We
the
want our-
alien's here to stay, and maybe you need to adapt to him instead.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay?
Also, I think at this point you can take out the little things from your kids' ears so they can listen to this part. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, this part's great. Today, the Villisca Axe Murder House stands as a dark tourist attraction. Visitors can walk through the very rooms where the family was slaughtered. That's gross. I'm sorry. That's so
What
weird.
is our obsession
I know.
with walking like in very traumatized areas?
I know. Like, oh, you can go in the rooms where it's like, why? Well, you're,
Like,
aren't you like that though? I mean,
yes, but that's not the point.
that's not the point. The point is other people.
Why other people? Yes, because like I understand like memorials dedicated to like, like the 9/11
Well,
victims.
that's different. That's a
different.
memorial.
Yeah, it's a memorial, but like these are like, hey, by the way, this is where like this man's skull was shattered and tons of dozens of townspeople took pieces of his body, which left the case unsolved,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But you can travel through here. You can have like, did I tell you about the time that I went with my family to the Winchester Mystery House, and
No.
we did the extra, I forgot what it's called, but like you pay extra and you do an additional tour that's like underground or whatever, like you go to their basement or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And
No.
they took us to this seance room, and it was funny because we finished the tour and they gave us about 30 minutes before the next tour started, the extra tour. And there was like a restaurant nearby, whatever, but we were just chilling there. And then as they took us to the seance room and they said, the story goes that, so what's her name? The Winchester woman, whatever.
Sarah Winchester? I
Yeah,
wanna say?
Sarah Winchester, let's say. Yeah. And they said like Sarah Winchester would not allow anybody to be in this room. She was the only person allowed. And then I was looking around, it was like, well, there's like 6 or 10 of us here, like who paid extra. And there's this one man, I shit you not, was eating Burger King. And he's like,
oh my God.
he's like he's eating his burger and he's like nodding, like, oh wow. And I'm like, dude,
Oh, this is a good Whopper too.
yeah, like Sarah Winchester's there's like who's the only person allowed in that room to have her seances. Cut to 90 years later, whenever the hell this happened, and it's like somebody's eating Burger King there and just learning
Oh
about
my
her
God.
eccentric life.
That's so sad. Imagine that. I feel like if I was Sarah Winchester, I would just haunt him just because it's like, bud, like, pay attention.
Pay attention to my damn story. Well, the same thing here. Like, again, people are going to the rooms where these people had their skulls, bashed in, and they're like having like a cigarette, and they're like, "Ooh, very interesting." And the person
wow.
who died is like, "What the hell? This is not
Yeah,
what
I know.
I became a fucking tourist trap."
Do you think there's a whole, group of ghosts who are mad that their locations have become tourist traps?
I think so. Why wouldn't you? I would.
Yeah. The lingering questions, the chilling atmosphere, and the whispers of a murder still haunt the house. The question remains, who committed these gruesome murders and why? The house stands as a testament to the past, but also a reminder of the terror that still lingers in the corner of history. The Villisca Axe murders, unsolved, forever etched into the legacy of America's most terrifying, unsolved crimes.
Tim,
Yes, Luis.
I feel bad for this family. I mean, all the people
really? Why?
well, again, like we mentioned earlier, people are just like eating Burger King and doing all this shit. But I was thinking
Yeah.
about this. I was just thinking about the fact that at the end of the day, your life ended and you became a fucking tourist trap, basically.
I know, like you're a ghost living in this place and you think, oh, I'll really haunt anyone who visits here. But then it's like, oh, it becomes like Disneyland, like a tourist thing where people are coming in and eating Burger King and smoking.
Not only that, but they're also probably getting things from the gift shop. They're like little axe keychains,
I know.
little like skulls. I'm assuming skulls with like missing pieces of the head. Like
Mhm.
right, like
Yeah,
imagine how much of a joke your life turned out to be because of this.
I know.
Your legacy,
And then,
excuse me,
and
not
then
your
you're
life.
looking at the walls and the story, and you're probably thinking, "Ah, the tourist people didn't write that right. That's not how it happened." You know
That's
what I mean?
not how it happened.
Yeah. Or maybe you'd want it. I mean, what do you think? If you were a ghost, would you want that kind of attention, or would you say, "No, this is making me a little too commercial," you know?
I don't know. I think it's funny because, again, depending on what you believe in, the afterlife or whatnot, but if you did become a ghost and my life ended up being a tourist trappy type place,
Uh-huh.
you know what? At least I'm being remembered.
Well, yeah, right, because you're famous, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Would I want to be a Peter Gabriel kind of ghost or a Phil Collins kind of ghost?
I don't get those
Hmm.
references because I'm not white.
Oh, okay. Would I want to be a
A Selena? I'm kidding.
no. But yeah, I mean, I guess would it be good? Well, no, because you're not benefiting from it at all. I mean, and would it even
No,
be
you're
fun to
not.
haunt tourists? I mean, the tourists want to be haunted. That's no fun.
But no, then it would drive more people to come there, right? Because like there's like, oh, I went to the Basilica Axe Murderers and I felt like a spy, like a somebody like, stuck their skeleton finger inside my asshole and I
Right,
jolted
right.
up and more people are like, oh, I want to experience that. Maybe not the asshole thing, but like they want to go there and it would just drive more people.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm a ghost, I feel like I would want it to be more of a spooky thing, and I would want it to be more like, I mean, I imagine a lot of ghosts, they sit around with a lot of resentment about the world, and I just feel like you wouldn't be like jokingly playing along, like, oh, the tourists are here, like, oh, the next tour is in, I better start, spooking them up or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't really want to do that if I was a ghost. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I would feel if I were the ghost, I'd be kind of pissed. That's
Yeah.
okay. I said that I would enjoy because like, oh, at least they're remembering me, they're remembering my story. But like, do I
No.
want to be remembered as somebody who got their head crushed with an axe and my neighbors stealing parts of my skull?
Exactly. Like
no.
everyone in your life could have been like, oh, they were a great father or a great like, doctor or lawyer or whatever. And this is like, no, they were a victim of a horrible thing.
And to make things worse, it wasn't even solved.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's like, dude, I die for nothing.
Yeah, you're a bullet point on the little placard they put up on the wall.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
well.
Oh well. Anyway.
Tim, before we finish the episode, I have a question for you.
Oh, all right, let's hear it.
Rapid fire. What are the top 3 red flags that someone might secretly be an axe murderer?
Okay, I think number 1, if they have bulging eyes, and number 2, if they're kind of old-timey and they have a little bit of a transatlantic accent, and number 3, if their name is Charlotte. Yeah, those are my red flags.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about a Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte film. Movie fans know.
Oh, I was like,
They
what the
do.
fuck are you talking about?
They do. They know.
Do you know, listeners? Well, my 3 top red flags are if somebody has like a crazed look and they're just
Mhm.
like, you go to the supermarket and, you're trying to buy your little Doritos or, Tic Tacs,
Yeah, Doritos and Tic Tacs.
well, they leave stains on your anyway. And
You're
then
talking like an alien who's never been to a grocery store and just assumes that's what people are buying.
I promise I'm human.
I buy lots of Doritos and Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs. So I would say anybody with a crazed look, anybody who has like dirt under their nails. Listeners, look at your nails right now. Do you have dirt?
If so, you're a murderer.
You might be an axe murderer. So
Yeah.
you have dirt under your nails, you have a crazed look, and also if you walk with like you have like a little jaunt. What is it called? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, a little jaunt there, a little
Your
jolly
step.
spring in your step. Yeah.
But in private, you're really like hunched over, and you always
Oh.
feel like you want to grab something heavy to swing at people. You
Yeah.
are an axe murderer. So how about
Right.
that?
Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this. So, yeah, now you know.
So Tim, now we are officially at the end of the episode. I know I mentioned that
Oh,
earlier,
okay.
but now we are officially at the end.
This
What
is
did you-
official.
Yes. What did you learn about today's episode?
What did I learn? Well, okay, I learned about 3 interesting stories, which is great because I didn't know these before.
Mhm.
However, they were very gross and scary, and one of them was a lot more recent than the other 2. So that's creepy and unsettling. And yeah, that's my main feedback. What about you?
It's funny because all 3 stories have different outcomes. The first one, Lizzie was the main suspect, but she was still found not guilty. The second
Right.
one, they didn't know who the killers were, and 2 of them ended up in prison, one in life in prison, I think.
Right.
And then the third one just had no
conclusion.
No conclusion. Like we didn't have the killers. So I think what I learned today is like, listeners, if you are thinking of committing an axe
Oh
crime,
my god.
you're really
Please.
you're really playing with a different set of bocce balls. but
What the
also
hell?
but you're also like you have a 33% chance of either being guilty or being not guilty or getting away with it. So that's what I
Wow.
learned.
What a good message for the kids at home.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, then feel free to leave us a 5-star review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If there's a story that you would like for us to cover, then feel free to email us at ittybittyhorror@gmail.com.
.com.
As for next week's episode, Tim, what are we going to be talking about?
Well, we are going to be discussing time-traveling gas stations. What a podcast we run.
Listeners, you better be ready for this time-traveling gas station story.
Oh, you better be.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw this TikTok. That was like a 12-part series that we were going to condense. It's actually really, really interesting, and I think that you will enjoy it, Tim.
I think so too, Tim.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks once again, and remember, even the smallest
chills.
Oh, that's
You were
never
just-
happened before.
You were just supposed to continue with it, and we were going to say it in unison.
Oh, okay. Thanks once
Thanks
again.
once again.
And remember, even the
smallest chills
can linger long after the stories end. You must be high on pills, bitch.
No.
Make sure to listen to us on Apple or Spotify and email us
at ittybittyhorror.org. No, not
Exactly.
.org.